advantage of the opportunity. But right now is about right now.
The Plan B, Ohio State Buckeyes!
Give everything you got in your heart to this place.
Hello and welcome to Rushing the Field, presented by Xfinity. He's Joshua Perry. I'm Nicole Auerbach. And first of all, we have to start by congratulating your Ohio State Buckeyes. They stopped the 4-game losing streak emphatically.
Yes, I was sweating it out.
Not real. Well, a little bit.
Early
The
on,
first quarter.
I was. And if you want to check out how I consumed that game, it's on my socials at RIP_JEP on Instagram.
Should we get
and
a more
Mr.
professional
Joshua Perry.
Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
At Mr. Joshua Perry on X or
Okay,
Twitter.
well, maybe next offseason.
Yeah.
We'll upgrade the Instagram handle.
We should.
But
I was sweating it out.
Yes.
We pulled it out. Felt really good about it.
We will start there. We're going to do segment 1. We're going to talk about the biggest results of the weekend. Seg 2, we're going to talk CFP, who are locks, what we need to know about the conference championship games. As we're recording this, Alabama up big on Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Virginia up big on Virginia Tech.
Yes.
And SMU in trouble. So we'll hopefully have an update on that as we get a little bit later into this recording. But we will start with the game. Ohio State 27, Michigan 9. It was, as we said, a little bit dicey early. Ohio State was doing some of the things that they have done in this game in the past, like bad penalties, struggling to punch it in, to run the ball.
Struggling to stop the run.
Struggling to stop the run.
Turnover early in the game.
Correct. So for like a quarter, you're wondering, are we going to do this again? Are we going to go through this? Is the Michigan juju going to be too much here? Ultimately, though, Ohio State did Ohio State things. We saw them throw the ball. We saw them run the ball, which is something that they want to do in this game anyway. But they were able to control the game at the line of scrimmage. The defense was really good. It was especially good goal line defense, held those field goals early, where Michigan should have built up a bigger lead. And ultimately, like, Michigan's offense could not get anything going.
Yeah, like, if you really think about it, that game could have been, Michigan could have had 21 points on the board. They had great field position, as you mentioned. The first play of the game, they hit a big run, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I was ready to lose my mind. And then the defense bows up, and then they throw an interception. It was reminiscent of watching, like, Kyle McCord and Will Howard do the same thing in, like, back-to-back years. And it's like, oh my goodness. And they hold them to a field goal. And then Ohio State starts settling into their game plan. They hit some short passes, they hit a couple deep throws, and then the run game comes along.
And the 4th and 5.
Yes.
That really started to change things. I think it was the aggressiveness of the play call, but also the execution from Sayin.
It was them playing their game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they came out throwing it, which I appreciated, but once they found what their rhythm was going to be for that game, how the passing game was going to impact the run game, and how they could mix it all together, you started seeing a typical Ohio State offense.
The biggest compliment that I can give Ohio State for the way that they won that game is that it looked the way that they beat other teams.
Yes.
And they always would have these weird, tight, super conservative game plans for Michigan.
Yes.
It always felt different. And we were talking about this all week, right? Ryan Day did not talk about toughness, physicality, which we took to mean, okay, trying to run it between the tackles, which is what he's tried to do in this game before. We also, they're going to fly like they would for any road game. They're going to do all these things just like to treat it like any other Saturday, any other opponent, and it worked. And I even thought, like, it wasn't a ton of emotion from Ryan Day afterwards.
No.
He was kind of just letting the game speak for himself.
Yes, and I think that was probably the right approach for him too, just generally. And like the Ohio State players after the game, not trying to do anything extra. It was this idea of we have to get over the hump.
Yep.
But we also know that we're the better football team in this game. We're supposed to win this football game the way that it is. It's our rival, and we'll treat it as such. But we can't make this more than exactly what it is. I like your point about them winning this game like they've won other games. This is what it looked like, and they did what they do toward the end of the other games too. They wear teams down.
Yeah.
And we hadn't seen them wear out a Michigan team like that. It's usually has been the other way around.
The amount of snaps that Michigan's defense had to be out there for was overwhelming. And you saw them get tired. You saw Ohio State, that 12-minute drive.
Oh, yeah. Insane.
It ended in a field goal, which didn't even matter, right?
No.
It was still 3 possessions
but
at that
it was
point.
also, you take 12 minutes, and that's a Michigan offense that needed to get the ball back numerous times to be able to.
20 plays, 12 minutes, and the game was over.
Now, Ohio State, I think they had over 70 reps of offense. So that's Michigan's defense literally getting worn down. The flip side of that is Michigan only had 40-some-odd plays on offense. It's the thing that Ohio State's defense has done extremely well is they get on the field, they do their work, and they get their behinds back to the sideline because they got to stop. Like, that's just what they do.
Yeah, and again, goal, like, in the red zone, goal line defense, all of that stuff is very, very good, and they are able to get those stops when they need them. we'd wondered, hey, what's Ohio State going to be like in a close game? It was close for a little bit, but ultimately not. So we're still, maybe Indiana will give them a game. Vegas thinks that they will give them more of a game.
Right.
But I think we did learn, yes, they could get over the mental block, and they could do it without doubt. Because I think that was, to me, it had to be a multiple possession win. Like, it had to be something where you didn't even have to be tight. Yeah, it didn't feel fluky, and it didn't feel tight.
Right.
And you didn't have to, like, worry and make a weird decision in the game at the end. I think that was important.
I thought it was, too. And, you know, they withstood the punches early on, right? And, like, I think that was also big. I mentioned how I was feeling in those moments where you saw the mistakes and they had the big runs. And it was like this team never looked back at what happened in the beginning of the game. I'll give you this stat. Is the run game felt like it was going to be an issue. Michigan ran it for 100 yards in the first half of that game. -8 yards rushing in the second half. That was what Michigan had, right? And so it's like, it's this team that was just like, that's behind us. Let's come out, brand new half, new scoreboard, and do our deal. And it's what they've done all year.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's hit on a couple of the other results from the weekend. By the way, not a lot of upsets. Like, there were a lot of home underdogs that really didn't give a ton of teams a ton of effort. So, like, for example, Miami 38, Pitt 7. They're going for style points. We love Malachi Toney. Ooh, I don't know. The bubble got a little more crowded.
Yeah, the bubble's going to be weird. We'll discuss that.
I thought Pitt would give them a game, and they did not. They did not do that. You know who I also thought was going to give a game? I thought Tennessee.
Yeah.
Vandy, 45, Tennessee, 24. Diego Pavia. I mean, I saw people talking about, like, he should be in the College Football Hall of Fame for what he's done at Vanderbilt.
Let's pump the brakes here. What he's done has been fantastic. I will not take that away from him and how he has reworked the mentality of that team. And I think that was probably the difference, honestly, for Tennessee and Vanderbilt is, like, I think Vandy was going in there into that game saying, like, I'm leaving here with something.
Yes, and 10-win season. Yes. They are right now on the outside looking in for the CFP, but they knew they had to win this game. Yep. Tennessee's defense, we've seen teams gash them. Yeah, so 45 points wasn't a surprise. Couple other interesting results. So LSU did keep it tight against Oklahoma for a long time. It was kind of an ugly game, actually.
Feels like that's how Oklahoma is going to have to play games, though. Their offense has literally become, can we get the ball out on the edge and see if a guy can take it 70 yards?
And like, completely busted coverage, right? And so there you go, wide open touchdown.
Dudes just missed tackles or whatever it is. Like, I just need to get it to a playmaker and see if he can have an explosive.
And the defense is good enough to get it done a lot of these times, right?
But
so that
as we'll talk about, like, you look at them as a playoff team, like, how do you evaluate their chances?
Right. I do think Brent Venables deserves a ton of credit because we came into the season talking about, hey, they may not win more games, but they're going to show improvement. He's on the hot seat. Yeah. And they're in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean,
which is remarkable.
Literally one more games. Whether their quarterback being hurt.
Yep.
Their offensive line is in shambles. He took over the defensive
play calling.
Which he needed to do, and it paid off for him. So, yes, he did a hell of a job. Like, that was a great coaching job. Deserves a ton of credit for it.
All right, let's talk about the most interesting result of the weekend. It happened Friday night. Texas 27, Texas A&M 17. First loss of the season for the Aggies. They finish the regular season without a win over a team that finished in the top half of the SEC standings. They also miss out on Atlanta in the SEC championship game, which honestly, I think they're probably fine with.
Yeah, they'll be in.
You're going to play the same amount of games anyway because you're going to play a first-round game in College Station most likely. But this was the result. You and I both picked it on this pod. You picked it because of chaos.
Yes.
I picked it because I'm not sure I trust A&M.
Yep.
Bad Marcel Reed showed up late in that game when they were trying to come back in this game. And now you have a very interesting 9-3 team. We'll get to the CFP scenarios in a second. But Arch had some big moments in the second half. It was just a really interesting result for what it means for Texas and for Texas A&M.
So A&M, as you've mentioned, struggled to trust them. And it's this idea of variance. I keep saying that word when we talk about this team.
I've stolen it. It's in all my articles as well.
Yeah, they're a high-variance football team. You have no idea what to expect, even on a half-to-half basis with them now, which is insane. They gave up 24 points and 285 yards in the second half of that game after limiting Texas to 3 points and 112 yards in the first half. That is a completely different team that you saw. Marcel Reed was bad. Throw a couple of interceptions. Like, he's a high-variance player. When he's at his best, you're like, oh, man, give the dude the Heisman. And then he goes out and has performances like that. So I'm very curious with this time that they will have before they play again. How the hell do you adjust? Because you can't be up and down like that when you get into the postseason because you'll just go home.
It was part of the reason that, like, I was never sure how I would pick them, like, once we get a bracket, because I will not be able to forget the first half against South Carolina. I'll also remember the second half against South Carolina. That's the floor. That's the ceiling.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to happen. And Marcel Reed threw such bad picks, tried to throw more against South Carolina. I was not shocked that he did it in a big moment against Texas. We'll see how far they drop. More CFP scenarios in just 1 second. Okay, so Joshua, all the games are not done yet, but I can tell you we have a couple of championship matchups set. The Big Ten, it'll be Ohio State versus Indiana. Felt like they've been on a collision course all season long, both undefeated, number 1 versus number 2. Actually, we'll be interested if it's a close game, if both stay in the top 4, right? I think they both would deserve a first-round bye without knowing exactly how the game's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a close game, I would totally agree with that. I think the committee this year, I want them to really evaluate the results of these conference championship games. And if you have to drop a team, I think you should drop them according to how they performed. But this game to me is like can Indiana match up with an elite talent roster? And then it's it saw Ohio State against Texas early and it was okay. And Michigan's good, but they're not a great team.
This will be their biggest test.
It's the first legitimate team that they have played. And it's like, how do you respond to that?
And as we always talk about with Indiana, it's so prepared. I'm stealing Barry Odom's line about them. So I talked to him before they played the bucket game, and he said they are aggressive but never out of control. And that, I think, just explains them to a T, right? They're always in the right spots. He was talking about how, you never see somebody not in the right place. Guys don't get wide open on them. They're always in the backfield. They're always they do all of the little things, and they don't beat themselves. So it makes it a really interesting test for Ohio State as well. And Indiana obviously also won 3 games in 3 really challenging environments. Kinnick, Autzen, Beaver Stadium this year.
Speaking of environment, I am interested in what the mix will be.
Heavy Indiana.
What the mix will
Heavy.
be.
It's 1 hour from Bloomington.
Buckeyes haven't been there since COVID. So
but do they care about this?
They want to go back.
Okay.
They love that. But number 2, both of these quarterbacks playing in a controlled environment inside in a dome. Fireworks. These receivers running routes inside in a dome. That to me is of interest.
2 quarterbacks that are trying to win the Heisman, right? Like we've been saying, the winner of this game might win the Heisman Trophy. And you're right, we have some of the best wide receivers in the country in a dome in this game.
On both sides.
Big 12 championship game also set. This was actually set by the time we all went to bed on Friday night. It is Texas Tech versus BYU. Again, also kind of the matchup that we thought when they played the first time. We were like, we're probably going to get a rematch, even though hopefully BYU can keep it closer. That's a chaos theory. If you want a chaos scenario, it's BYU upsetting Texas Tech to bid Big 12.
Yeah, that'll be the thing to watch there. To me, it just watching Texas Tech over the last few weeks, and even BYU, they've made some improvements. Do you think the gap has closed since they played that's my fear.
But yes, BYU's looked good against everyone else. It's possible that there's just a gap, right? A gap between Texas Tech and BYU, gap between them and everybody else.
The only team that they've played that's kind of worth a damn is Utah.
Yeah.
The rest of that's the hard part to be I can't tell if they've actually closed the gap.
Also, this is Texas Tech. Well, first of all, this is both of them trying to win their first Big 12 title. BYU's only been in the league a couple of years. This is a bigger deal for Texas Tech. They spent all that money to try to win their first Big 12 title, to try to get to the college football playoff. I think they're going to do it. But we'll save a full breakdown for later in the week. SEC championship is not locked in yet. Georgia is locked in. They will play. It's looking like it's going to be Alabama. They're up big on Auburn. The game is not over yet. I find it hard to believe that Auburn's going to suddenly find a lot of offense, or they can't even stop Alabama's run game, which is everybody has been able to stop. So let's pencil in Georgia, Alabama. Feels like a few years ago. Feels like we would just kind of pencil it in.
It feels like the old days for sure.
Saban.
Georgia, doesn't it feel like they're maybe the most dangerous team in the country right now?
I think they are definitely the team I trust the most in the SEC.
If it's not Indiana that could knock off Ohio State, doesn't it feel like Georgia?
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
kind of where I'm at.
The game against Georgia Tech was ugly.
But that's always been an ugly game.
I agree. And it was 8 overtimes last year, right? But in general, yes, I trust them. They have been playing a lot more consistently over the last month of the season. I do think there are teams, we've kind of compared them to some of those Dabo Clemson teams where it would just kind of be ugly for a couple months and then November would hit and they'd be like, all right, let's lock in
Also,
championship season.
Kirby, right? You can't deny his experience in conference championship game and then going into the postseason. That's a big deal for me.
I agree. Okay, this is going to be the dangerous one
I don't like it.
to record on a pod where these games are still going on. It's the ACC championship game scenarios. Now, Virginia's up 24-0 in the fourth quarter against Virginia Tech.
So
they're in.
Yes.
They were winning in. This will also be just like a very cathartic win. They have lost 19 of 20 to Virginia Tech.
Dude,
which,
golly.
I mean, you've been in pain about 4 losses
know.
to Michigan.
I mean, who am I? Like, why am I like that? The 19 of 20,
19 of 20.
I'm over here.
They're assuming the worst right now
Yeah.
while they're up 24-0. That's what's happening for Virginia fans. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Right now, we're starting the second half. Cal is up 17-7 on SMU.
Yes.
If this score holds and NC State beats UNC, Duke goes to the ACC championship game as a 7-5 team. That will potentially open up a spot for a second group of 5 team. It's possible that JMU, if they were to win the Sun Belt, would be ranked ahead of the ACC champion if it's Duke. Also, just an interesting wrinkle, regardless, because if SMU comes back and it's an SMU-Virginia ACC game, Miami is going to be ranked ahead of them. But they can only really get in as an at-large.
As an at-large. We talked about this. It feels like this is time for the
Override.
ACC to be like, well, one of our things is the highest ranked team in our conference has to be in the conference championship. Like, they should just go ahead and pass that like tonight. They should meet and say that's the thing. Because it would be insane to leave Miami's chances up to whatever happens for an at-large bid and then potentially not even get the auto bid that you would imagine that you get every year because a team like Duke goes ahead and actually pulls this thing off.
I wonder if there should just be like an asterisk in everyone's tiebreaker policy that, like, if we're this far down, you just go with the highest ranked team in your conference.
They should.
I mean, it would give you the best chance at actually winning games, which would earn your league money,
Right.
prestige, all of those things.
Right.
But again, that's not what we're looking at. And again, maybe SMU comes back and kind of salvages this, but it's been a weird year in the ACC, and I just think that's where we're going to live, with them as potentially a one-bid league and Miami potentially getting bumped down further as we get to the bubble scenarios.
Yeah, and I want to underscore what you just said there. Like, this isn't about Miami in particular and, like, crimes being done against them. This is about a conference putting itself in the best position to win games in the postseason.
They won't make money if they win games and advance.
That's what
through
I'm
rounds.
getting at. This is not in their best interest.
Correct.
Whatever could happen if Duke gets there, that's not in their best interest right now.
As a chaos enthusiast, though.
Well, as a chaos enthusiast, I want all of the craziest scenarios to happen because I want people to have to make hard decisions, and I want to learn about what went into those decisions. I want these conferences to maybe learn that their structure is...
Oh, the mega conferences, the bloating is maybe not going to work well for tiebreakers and determining the order of your teams.
This is kind of ass right now. Like, this is not a great spot that we're in, and I feel like people should have to reconcile with that.
I mean, it's part of the thing with A&M, right? When you talk about, oh, well, they haven't beaten anybody in the top half of the SEC. Well, that's not even their fault that the schedule fell that way.
Yeah.
These are giant conferences. By the way, Auburn just scored on Alabama, so maybe we're going to get a little interesting, a little interesting Iron Bowl action. We'll see. Still with an interim head coach for Auburn. Now, you ready for some chaos theories? You ready to argue a little bit? Okay. I want to go through a list of teams that we think are college football playoff locks, and I think you agree with me, so we'll go through them quickly. So this is regardless of what happens championship weekend. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. Okay. So they were all like winning in this weekend. They're good. They're fine. The ACC champion, again, unless it's Duke.
Right.
Duke would be question mark.
Right.
The highest ranked group of 5 champion, which is probably going to be the American champion, which would be Tulane versus North Texas.
I'm with that.
Okay. Now, there's 2 spots left if that's all how it goes. So let's say like a normal ACC champion. So Virginia, let's pencil Virginia in. Okay. 2 spots left. You have Notre Dame.
Yes.
You have Alabama. So they are the teams that are in the projected bracket right now.
Yes.
The last 2 teams in. BYU right behind them. Miami and Vanderbilt have been like lurking. Texas. We're finally going to have to deal with the head-to-head with Texas and Vanderbilt. We thought they should have done it last week. I think they're going to have to do it now. So I think Texas is going to jump way up because they're going to get a lot of credit for this win over Texas
As they
A&M.
should.
So they could go up. They're at 16 last week. They go up like 5 spots. They could be right behind Alabama and BYU. And then you're like right on the outside looking in. If some weird things happen in conference championship weekend, you might have a shot. But I think they are going to pass Miami. I think they're going to pass Vanderbilt.
Sure.
I think those are very real possibilities. And that creates more separation between Notre Dame and Miami. Like, that creates a lot more interesting wrinkles with the bubble.
Texas's 9-3, to me, is more impressive than Vanderbilt's 10-2.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because of the wins.
Two top 8 wins.
Right.
The committee had those two teams in the top 8 last week.
By the way, beat Vanderbilt, who, again, is inside of the top 15. And you just sit there and you wonder, like, if they didn't schedule Ohio State in week 1, they're 10-2, and we're not really having this conversation right now. And so I think that's part of the challenge
that
here
is
how do you treat them?
So Steve Sarkisian's argument, right,
Yes.
is that it would be like a travesty for college football.
I wouldn't schedule if I was an AD, I wouldn't do it.
Right, if you penalize them too much for losing to the number 1 team in the country by 7 points, closer than anybody else has lost to them, you are disincentivizing anyone from scheduling these games. You already have Miami and Miami fans and people being like, what good did it do
we didn't
that we
even
played
get
Notre Dame?
credit
They
for
didn't even
beating
get
Notre Dame.
Exactly.
Notre Dame's getting credit for losing to us.
They were apparently in the same grouping of teams,
And they still
the
didn't.
head-to-head did not
It's
come into play.
It's
last week.
insane. The other one
so I worry about that. That's like a bad message for the committee to send.
It's an awful message for them to send. The other one that I'm very curious about is Alabama goes to the SEC championship against Georgia, team that they beat on the road, and they get run out of the building. They get beat bad. What do you do with that extra loss with Alabama, who is a bubble team that's playing in conference championship weekend?
So this is, I think, just a larger question, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in the midweek pod. Do we think this committee will treat those games differently?
They should.
I think they should too. I think they should be careful about like losses.
Yeah.
But you should get credit for a big win. Like,
Sure.
it should impact these things. By the way, they're only up 4 on Auburn right now, so maybe they're not going to get there, and Ole Miss will be there.
Being careful about losses. Like, this is a team that is already on the bubble. Last team in that lost to Florida
No, I agree
State,
if it's a blowout.
right?
I think blowout results
Right.
absolutely should get factored in.
Yeah, and so, like, that's where I'm kind of at here. Like, I think Alabama has to look really good in that game for me to feel confident that they should be in.
They are the last team in right now. A lot of people right behind them, pushing them. The bubble's going to be awesome and terrible. Before we get to helmet stickers, our last helmet stickers of the regular season.
Oh.
I know these mean so much to the players and coaches that we give them to, so just wanted to give them a moment
We
there.
got to get a helmet for next year.
Oh, yeah, we should, and we can put little stickers on it.
We have to.
We will do that. So as we're about to wrap this up here, Lane Kiffin has not made a decision. It is 10:01 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Marty Smith has been
staking out.
Oh, he's in the Ole Miss facilities. He's going to get a key card or something at this point because he's been there all day. We have not gotten a final answer from Lane Kiffin about what he wants to do. So we'll have that covered in the next pod.
By the way,
very unfair to everyone at Ole Miss as well.
It is. And I've been I think Lane's in a really hard spot. There have been a lot of people that have defended Lane maybe a little bit too far, and the look tonight makes that all look bad.
I agree. It's just dragging this out.
Yep.
The idea of potentially trying to coach Ole Miss while taking the job
you can't
for
do
LSU
that.
is
That's where
ridiculous.
I've always drawn the line is like I feel bad for having to make that decision in the timing. But once you make the decision, you're done.
You have to live with the consequences.
You can't be at another SEC school coaching a different SEC school.
That's
stupid.
Really hope Ole Miss does not budge on that point if he does leave.
Yeah.
Okay, time for helmet stickers. Floor is yours, Joshua Perry.
Well, I am going with the Ohio State Buckeye.
Shocker.
Oh, yes. Julian saying 19 of 26, 73%, 3 touchdowns in the pick. And we talked about these Heisman moments. Fernando Mendoza makes a mistake. Team gets down. They got to come back. You know, we talked about Marcel Reed in the second half against South. This was his Heisman moment. He did all the things that the other guys did. He threw a pick, had to overcome their largest deficit of the season. He
6-0.
Well, largest deficit of the season. And he was flawless after the interception. But in all seriousness, you got a guy who, from California, first time playing in that game, he goes on the road to do it. There's the weather conditions. People ask the question about, you know, is it him? Is it the other guys? It felt like it was a lot of him, right?
Yeah.
It felt like he's a dude that you just want leading your offense. And so I got to give him the helmet sticker, but that was the first step for him. And the matchup with Mendoza in the Big Ten Championship is going to be the thing.
Yeah, I agree, and echo that for Julian saying. My helmet sticker goes to Malachi Toney. I think he's my favorite freshman in the season, all season. He's been phenomenal for Miami. The one thing that I will be upset with if they do not make the playoff is that Malachi Tony, we are done watching him because he has been unbelievable. He had an amazing catch in the game against Pitt. He threw a touchdown also in that game. 400-yard receiving games this season. He's going to be a freshman All-American. He might have a shot at the Heisman before all is done with that career, but he is unbelievable as a freshman receiver. So it's kind of like a season-long helmet sticker.
They should get him up the NIL package, whatever it is he needs.
I'm sure that they're going to do that. That'll do it for the Week 14 Recap Pod. Rushing the Field presented by Xfinity. We will see you midweek.